Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to today's webinar with the United States Hispanic Chamber of Commerce, the Import-Export Bank of the United States, and the United States Small Business Administration, Business Beyond Borders, commemorating World Trade Month. We would like to welcome all our participants from across the country on behalf of the United States Hispanic Chamber of Commerce. My name is Leroy Cavazos Reina. I am the Vice President of Government and International Affairs here at the U.S. Hispanic Chamber of Commerce, and will be serving as today's moderator for today's event and important presentation to get more exporters from the United States and their products to all parts of the world in today's webinar titled Business Beyond Borders. At this time, it is my honor and my privilege to present Mr. Ramiro Cavazos, President and CEO of the United States Hispanic Chamber of Commerce. Ramiro has been President and CEO for 3.5 years, taking this national American institution through a transformative change. He was previously the President and CEO at the San Antonio Hispanic Chamber of Commerce for over 10 years. His expertise is in economic development, where he has served in numerous economic development roles in Texas and in Latin America. Ramiro is also attributed for bringing and being one of the co-partners in establishing Toyota Motor Manufacturing in Texas. Ramiro has a Master's of Public Administration from St. Mary's University and holds a bachelor's degree in government from the University of Texas at Austin. A native of the Rio Grande Valley, Weslaco, Texas, he is a 7th-generation Texan. Ramiro has his wife, Krista, and his parents of his 2 boys, Ramiro and Roberto. Ladies and gentlemen, please help me welcome Ramiro A. Cavazos.
Thank you, Leroy. I feel that I should thank you for that overly generous introduction. And clearly, I'm going to take you everywhere, including Washington, to do the work of government affairs for our United States Hispanic Chamber of Commerce. For those that may be wondering, we're not related. Cavazos happens to be a very familiar name, last name in Texas, similar to the last name Rodriguez or C. de Baca in New Mexico. And so it is my honor to be here representing 5 million Hispanic-owned businesses, 61 million Americans who self-identify as Hispanic, and of course, a nation composed of more than 260 vibrant, energetic, each of them an economic oasis in their community, Hispanic chambers of commerce throughout the country and in Puerto Rico. Our chairwoman is Alice Rodriguez. She's a banker, and she has great passion for what we call our 3 C's. We want to provide more capital, we want to provide more contracts, connections to our members, and build capacity for them. The United States Hispanic Chamber of Commerce was founded in 1979 in Santa Fe, New Mexico, by 5 business owners, each of them a hardworking man or woman who wanted to make sure that we achieve the American dream and that we stamped out racism or discrimination and made sure to be at the decision-making table in corporate America or at the US government. I am so pleased to partner and collaborate with important entities like our US Small Business Administration, and of course, with the Export-Import Bank. 50% of the expansion from the most recent Great Recession of 2008, 50% of the rebuilding was attributed to small businesses, the other 50% to businesses doing imports and exports to bring our economy back. It is very clear that as America, a nation of 300+ million people, is 4.5% of the world's population, that 95% of the marketplace for our 30 million small businesses, 5 million of those Hispanic-owned businesses, our marketplace is elsewhere around the world outside of the US. So for us, importing and export is critical. Business is critical. Small business is big business. And a big part of growing it is having the capacity and the tools to do exports and imports. So at this time, I'm very honored to introduce one of our national board members. He represents Region 2, a region composed of powerful Hispanic chambers in America that are part of the, of course, the Rocky Mountain area and the southwest of our nation. His name is Ernie C. de Vaca. He is the CEO of the Albuquerque Hispanic Chamber of Commerce, one of the largest and one of the oldest chambers in America. Ernie is on our Government Affairs Committee, and Ernie serves in so many different capacities. He worked in the private sector for more than 30 years in the energy industry and brings tremendous assets to the policymaking work of the United States Hispanic Chamber of Commerce. It is my pleasure to introduce to you my great friend and a great leader in his own right, Mr. Ernie C. de Vaca.
Well, thank you, Ramiro. That is a great introduction, and I wish I could remember everything you said and I could live up to it. So, thanks again. And yes, we are one of the older chambers. You can look at my hair right now, and you can tell we're older. But we were formed in 1975, the Albuquerque Hispanic Chamber, a few years prior to the United States Hispanic Chamber being formed in New Mexico. So it's great that we're still in contact, and I'm very appreciative of being a board member of the best board in America, the United States Hispanic Chamber of Commerce. It's a great pleasure to be part of this. What we're all going to learn today is going to be fantastic. The EXIM Bank, how that gives opportunities for export, import, and how that helps small businesses. We're very excited of who we have to listen to today and to learn. I'm very excited because we do, in fact, have an international trade committee at the Albuquerque Hispanic Chamber of Commerce, and we do have professionals that know how to do that. We need to do more, and now that the borders are opening up, we're very excited that things are starting to improve here in New Mexico and for the nation. But I just, there'll be more to say. I want to, a little bit later, get to introduce one of our members, which I'm very excited, John Martinez, who represents a company called Sombra, which you all should try his products. I'm just saying that right now. But anyway, with that, thank you, Ramiro. It's going to be a great learning session today. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Ernie, for those kind remarks, and thank you to the Albuquerque Hispanic Chamber of Commerce for being such a great partner to the USHCC. At this time, it is my honor and my privilege to introduce today's speakers before we get started with our Albuquerque business. So at this time, I would like to introduce to our guests, LaTanya Darden. LaTanya is the Business Development Specialist for Minority and Women-Owned Business Division, Office of Small Business at the Export-Import Bank of the United States. LaTanya works closely with exporters who apply for the Working Capital Guarantee Program, as well as export credit insurance. In her current role, she manages a portfolio of minority business organizations in the Northeast section of our country and is responsible for building awareness about EXIM Bank's products and services to small minority-owned businesses, particularly those in underserved communities. LaTanya holds a BA in Administration of Justice from the University of the District of Columbia. Also joining us today, we have Michelle Schweck. Michelle is Deputy Associate Administrator of the Office of International Trade at the United States Small Business Administration. Michelle has over 20 years of experience managing U.S. government organizations and startup operations related to global job creation, competitiveness, and economic growth. She has also served on the leadership team that established the U.S. Global Development Labs, a new entity under USAID. Michelle has a track record, career in government, working for U.S. Agency on International Development, the U.S. House of Representatives, the U.S. State Department, and leading programs and partnerships with the private sector, foundations, universities, federal and state agencies, as well as foreign governments and legislators. A Foreign Service officer for more than 10 years, Michelle served in Haiti from 1995 to 1999. She has an MA in Latin American Studies from the University of California at Berkeley and a BA in International Affairs from George Washington University. Thank you, Latanya and Michelle, for being with us today to give our members at the United States Hispanic Chamber of Commerce the necessary and crucial information that is needed to get their products out of the United States and onto the international stage. And with that, I would like to turn this conversation back over to Ernie C. De Vaca to contextualize the Albuquerque Hispano Chamber of Commerce's role in exporting with one of their members, Sombra. Ernie?
Well, thank you very much, Leroy. And yeah, I'm very excited to talk a little bit about one of our truly tremendous members, Sombra USA. And what's really cool about Sombra, I've known him back when I was actually the chair of the board of the Albuquerque Hispano Chamber back in 2006. And we took a B2B trip to Guadalajara. And I learned that in Albuquerque, New Mexico, we have a jewel. We have a company called Sombra and a gentleman named Alfredo Cortazar that was actually from Chiapas, Mexico. And, you know, I know what the EXIM Bank does somewhat, and I know what the SBA can provide. But I think when you put things into reality and what can happen when a business maybe uses these opportunities now going forward, especially since the borders are opening up again. You know, Sombra USA, the guy that started this, Alfredo Cortazar, he has a story. I'm not going to get into too much of it. I'm just going to say a little bit because I know John Martinez has quite a bit to say. But it's one of those stories that is America's dream. It's a story that we all hope and realize for our kids or for the people that you know and love, somebody who, it's a rags to riches story, a well-educated chemical engineer that took a risk and believed in what he's doing and suffered through many difficult years and is now doing extremely well with his product, because I guarantee you this, one of his products is called Soar No More, and you can buy these at Whole Foods or someplace like that. And if you put it on your arm or leg that's aching, you will thank me for it. I expect an email thank you for that, because it's one of the greatest products anybody can enjoy. And it's based here in New Mexico. And so the thing that's really cool about the story and how we can all learn today about what's available is that they have had some success exporting, some success. And I think from today, Sombra will actually learn to be even more successful going forward because of the opportunities through the EXIM Bank and the SBA that they might have tried to utilize in the past, but I think this future is going to be tremendous for them. John Martinez is a great friend. He's been around New Mexico quite a bit. And I know his stint with Sombra has been relatively short, but I know he's already made a huge impact for them in his business orientation and what he's doing to help drive business to Sombra. And so John is a board member, and he's a member of our International Trade Committee. And I think his story and about what Sombra does and what we expect them to do is going to go perfect with the following speakers afterwards, who are actually going to take what John has to say and expand on those opportunities. But anyway, John is a great friend. I've known him for many years. Everybody in New Mexico knows John Martinez, and he's a great asset for Sombra. He's a great asset for the Albuquerque Hispano Chamber of Commerce Board and for Sombra. And I'd like to introduce my great friend, John Martinez.
Thank you, Ernie. I appreciate it very much. And for everybody listening, Ernie is not a paid spokesperson for the company. He's just a great friend and a loyal supporter of the company. For you, Mr. Cavazos, in New Mexico, Martinez is the Cavazos of New Mexico, so there's a lot of us. Thank you for having us today. Solga is honored to be a part of this session. Ernie mentioned a little bit about the owner, Alfredo Cortazar. Alfredo came to the U.S. from Chiapas, Mexico, back in the early 70s, and took on a career with Max Factor. Many of you will have heard of them. The cosmetic company out of California, and really made a name for himself and did very well with them. Well, after a few years of that, he decided that he could really make it on his own, and he packed up his wife, moved to New Mexico, and started his little company here. And for many, many years, he suffered hardships where he was, unable to buy food and groceries, and oftentimes wound up sleeping on the floor of his office just to survive. Well, fast forward 47 years later, now he has what I consider one of the largest small businesses in the state. Large in terms of our capabilities and what we have to offer, small in employee base, but we're growing. Our products, Ernie mentioned, are pain relieving gels. We have that warm and cool gel, extremely popular on the market. We're actually ranked number 2 in that product line in the nation. And when you receive a ranking, it's not ranking you in terms of how good your product is, it's your sales. So we're number 2 in sales, but I think we're absolutely number 1 when it comes to quality of the product. And I'll let Ernie's words speak for themselves. It's a fantastic product. Beyond that, we've expanded. We have a lot of ancillary products such as soaps and shampoos and hand sanitizer and disinfecting products and spa type amenities. The hand sanitizer, interesting market for us. 2000 proved to be a challenging year for all of us. We entered into the hand sanitizer market just to fill a void because there were shortages nationwide. And shortly after entering that market, we realized that even though we felt like our hand sanitizer was more pleasant than others, at the end of the day, it still smells like alcohol. So we shortly thereafter introduced an alcohol-free hand sanitizer, which has a very refreshing citrus fragrance, and is very effective and has become extremely popular. Beyond the products that we develop and sell, we also have other services available for others that want to enter into this market. We have a couple of programs. One is what we call a private label program, which is broken down into a couple of categories. We have so if you're interested in launching a product that you don't have a product but you want your name on it, we can develop a product for you. We can customize a formula for you. If you have your own formula, we can manufacture it, and then at the end of the day, put your label on it. Or if you like our products that we currently sell, you can put your label on our products and sell it under your name. It's a great way for other small businesses to enter the market. All that said, we've done well for the last 47 years in the domestic market. We've had several start-stops and several failures with regard to branching out internationally. And anybody that's done that realizes that it is a little daunting. You have no recourse if you have to take legal action in a foreign country. It becomes very complex and very expensive. So just doing business in a foreign country because of the risk. And so because of that risk, and because we had several failures in other countries where we actually did lose money on the opportunities, we kind of stayed away from it for quite a few years. Well, this year and recent, well, actually in 2020, thanks to the Hispanic Chamber and Ernest C. Vaca, we were introduced to the Minority Business Development Agency, and they introduced us in turn to EXIM Bank, and that opened up huge opportunities for us because we've been, as I said, looking at ways to enter into the international market without suffering the risk. And this takes care of it. I mean, when people ask me about it, when I sat down with Mr. Portillo and explained what EXIM Bank could do for us, basically I told him it's an insurance policy. They will guarantee payments. So if we ship to a country that may have a reputation of being difficult to work with, we can guarantee that we're not going to lose in this transaction. And the bank, EXIM Bank, actually absorbs that risk. Absolutely unparalleled to anything that we've had the opportunity to use in the past. And because of the opportunities that EXIM Bank has provided for us and other doors that the Chamber has opened for us, we're moving along very well. We have just finished a deal in Saudi Arabia. We have one in South America. We're just finalizing a deal in Mexico. And yesterday we took our first order in Canada. So we're moving along, and it's very well. I believe in the not too distant future, people will have access to our products worldwide. And as a point of reference or clarification, the company's name is Sombra USA. Ernie introduced our products as Soar No More. So we do have, we carry both lines. So essentially, Soar No More is our Sombra brand designed for the retail market. Sombra is designed for the healthcare professionals, and that's the distinction. Otherwise, it's the same product, we just package it differently, and it's priced the same everywhere. I can't say enough about the support of the Chamber. I know this is going to be kind of my testimonial for not only the Chamber, but for EXIM Bank. Without the Chamber's involvement and support, our company never would have stumbled upon the opportunities that are available to us. Only the same opportunities that are available to Max Factor and other large corporations. So with that, I yield to Mr. Gavasas, and thank you very much.
John, thank you very much, John. And precisely, it is because of businesses like yours across the United States of America that the United States Hispanic Chamber of Commerce is able to evolve our growing mission and to work with government entities like the U.S. Small Business Administration and the EXIM Bank to bring these critical and necessary resources to member businesses like yours through our network of more than 260 Hispanic chambers across the U.S. and Puerto Rico. At this time, and without further ado, let's move into our presentations. I see a lot of activity on the chat and in our Q&A function. People want answers and want to know how they can start exporting and get all the information that they need to help their business scale. So at this time, it's a privilege for me to introduce to you Latanya Darden, who is the Business Development Specialist for Minority and Women-Owned Business Division, Office of Small Business at the Export-Import Bank of the United States of America. Latanya, welcome, and thank you for your partnership.
Thank you for that introduction, Leroy. And before I start, I would like to thank President of the U.S. Hispanic Chamber of Commerce, Ramiro Cavazos, for joining us today. I'd also like to thank Leroy, Laura, and your teams for your efforts in making this webinar possible today, as well as the other panelists. And most importantly, thanks to our guests for taking the time to join us today. And congratulations for investing in yourselves to learn about export resources. I guarantee it will be worth your time. I am about to start my presentation now. Can everyone see my presentation?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, great. Okay, EXIM is the Export Credit Agency for the United States, or an ECA, as we're most fondly referred to. Most countries have an export credit agency that provides financial support to exporters in their respective countries. This is EXIM's role for US exporters. And our mission is to support American jobs by facilitating the export of US goods and services. We have strong relationships with lenders, working with them to fill gaps, in fact, enhancing their programs, and we level the playing field by equipping exporters with tools to compete in the global market. Now, EXIM products are critical and give an advantage to exporters when negotiating contracts. They are a key component for exporters to succeed and oftentimes determines whether they will win or lose a contract or a sale. They level the playing field, allowing American businesses to compete with exporters around the world. Export credit insurance minimizes risk for exporters, and risk are also minimized for lenders through our working capital loan guarantee. We work closely with our delegated lenders, assuming risk that they're not willing to. Banks typically will not advance against uninsured foreign receivables. However, some lenders will advance against insured receivables covered by EXIM, which adds to your borrowing base, thereby supplementing commercial financing. Now at EXIM, small business is our business. In fact, around 90% of the bank's transactions provide support to small businesses. Now, this is contrary to what you may hear. However, thousands of small businesses who are suppliers to large corporations benefit most from EXIM financing. We haven't denied financing due to the size of a business or the amount of a transaction. In fact, we've supported sales of just a few $1,000s. So it doesn't matter, the dollar amount or the size of the transaction or the opportunity, it's worth seeking EXIM support to facilitate that sale or that deal. Now, EXIM works with commercial lenders by providing a 90% guarantee for export-related loans that are used to purchase raw materials, to make the product, cover labor and overhead costs, purchase finished products for export, any fees associated with the export transaction. These loans are backed by EXIM, which makes lenders more willing and comfortable to finance these transactions. Now, you're looking at an example of a working capital loan guarantee process. There's an export opportunity you want to take advantage of, but you need financing. You apply for a working capital loan, and your lender is not willing to assume the risk to finance export-related collateral. Lenders with delegated authority process or finance the loan per EXIM guidelines, and loan proceeds are then used to fulfill the export sale. Now, I want to talk a little bit about indirect exports while I'm here. If you are a US-based customer, if your customer is based here in the US, and they're a large corporation or distributor, you should inquire about the final destination of your product. Is it ended up on shelves here in the US or abroad? When your domestic customer confirms your product is being exported, then you are eligible to apply for a working capital loan through one of our delegated lenders. So again, if you are a supplier or your customer here in the US, if you believe, or you just may want to ask the question, hey, you know, is my product ending up on shelves here or abroad? Again, if it is abroad, you do qualify to apply for the working capital loan through one of our delegated lenders. Now, export credit insurance is what EXIM Bank is most known for. It is our most utilized product, and the insurance removes the risk associated with exporting. It protects you if your customer doesn't pay due to political or commercial risk. Examples of these would be if your customer loses their import license, fraud, an outbreak of war or unrest occurs in a country. You are covered by these examples and more with the policy. The policy is also a bargaining tool because you can offer credit open account terms to buyers. This benefits you as well as the buyer because you're not requiring cash in advance. And everyone wants to purchase on credit. That way they will purchase more from you. They know that you're not looking for payment for another 30, 60, 90 days, whatever terms that you have agreed to. So the insurance is a win-win for the exporter as well as the foreign buyer. The policy is also a financing aid because it can be assigned to a lender for an advance. Some companies we come in contact with are not able to hold receivables for 30, 60, 90 days. They need capital to fulfill orders that they are now getting because word is expanding that they're offering credit terms and they have an American-made product, which is highly sought after. So with that, the policy can be assigned to a lender. The lender will advance. Now, of course, it will be discounted. It will not be the 95% coverage that you would receive in the event something went awry with the transaction. However, it is a means of capital while you are, because you're not able to wait the full 30, 60, or 90 days. And then at that point, the transaction is in between the foreign buyer and the lender. Now, here is a visual of a transaction utilizing trade credit insurance. You've identified your customer, you apply for trade credit insurance. When approved, you offer credit terms to the buyer and they agree to those terms. Your product is shipped and your shipment is reported and premium paid at that time, which is very important. You don't have to pay anything. You don't pay a monthly fee as with other insurances typically. But when you ship product, you must pay premium and report your shipment. Report your shipment. If not, if something were to go awry, then your claim would not be approved. And so that's what's great about this insurance. You know, you pay your premium and fees only when you ship product. And as I said, not monthly as most insurances require. Now, EXIM supports all industries, as you can see here. I'd like to focus on services though for a moment. We meet quite a few businesses that provide a service. They're a service provider. They don't have a product that they sell. Don't dismiss receiving support from EXIM Bank because you are a service provider and you don't have a product. We are actually seeing an increase of service provider businesses applying for EXIM support. We support a wide range of services such as IT, consulting, engineering, freight forwarder or logistics services, security, legal services. That's just a few of what we provide support for in the services space. So again, please don't dismiss receiving support from EXIM because you are a service provider and you do not have a product. Just remember, if the customer is abroad and payment is from outside the US borders, it is an export. Now, before I turn it back over to Leroy, I'd like to talk about export resources and just to give a couple of takeaways. And I encourage you to utilize these resources because, again, exporting is something that you will not be successful with if you do not utilize the resources and try to go at it alone. You can't do it successfully alone. So there are resources available for you, hundreds of them throughout the country at the federal level as well as the state level. Your federal export resources consist of course, EXIM Bank, the SBA, and your women's business centers, Department of Commerce, the U.S. Commercial Service, our MBDA export centers, which there are 4. Each center has a specific focus region. You have, and women-owned businesses, I encourage them to explore and connect with the Organization of Women in International Trade, OWIT, as well as the National Association of Women Business Owners, NAWBO. Those are 2 great organizations that can help you navigate the export landscape as well. Our state and local resources available to you are SCORE, which are partially funded by the SBA. And we also have, EXIM Bank has regional export promotion program organizations, also known as REP. These are organizations at the state and local level that provide export readiness and marketing and research to assist businesses to become export ready. You can go to our website. I encourage you to visit it to locate the closest REP organization to you. And I encourage you also to schedule a consultation using the link posted in the chat. Our schedules fill up quickly after these events, so I urge you to schedule a consultation as soon as possible. And for planning and time management, you can schedule a specific date and time for your appointment. So again, I urge you to leverage these resources and to reach out to us to help you navigate the export landscape. Now I turn it back over to Leroy.
Thank you so much, LaTanya, for that very informative presentation on behalf of the EXIM Bank of the United States. The work that you all do is so critical to scaling small businesses here in the US and taking their products and their services, their commodities and their goods onto the international stage. We really appreciate the partnership that the United States Hispanic Chamber has with the EXIM Bank and the tireless work that you do on behalf of the Office of Small Business at the bank. We really appreciate this information. At this time, we will move on to our next presenter. The United States Hispanic Chamber of Commerce is a collaborating partner of the U.S. Small Business Administration, an entity that is so important to the American recovery and to the revitalization of America's more than 30 million small businesses, of which more than 5 million are Hispanic-owned businesses across the United States and Mexico. So without further ado, it is my privilege to present Michelle Schwimp, who is the Deputy Associate Administrator, Office of International Trade at the United States Small Business Administration. Michelle, welcome and thank you for your partnership.
Leroy, thank you so much. President Cavazos, Laura, and the entire team, thank you very, very much for inviting us today. To the audience, happy World Trade Month. It gives us the occasion to partner with the Hispanic Chamber, and our collaboration over the past year has really been invaluable. SBA, on behalf of the agency, I can tell you we're enthusiastic about supporting Hispanic-owned businesses. We know you're a fast-growing group of businesses, you're selling online at greater rates, and you're forward-leaning about exporting. For all these reasons, again, thanks for offering the opportunity to talk to your members about how we can help them grow their businesses through exporting. Next slide, please. So I understand some of you already import and are looking to export. That's great. We're going to tell you what we have to offer in terms of support for exporting. Like EXIM, we also support service exports, and all of our services are free. Actually, some will give you money. So listen on. We have 3 main areas of support provided by my office, the Office of International Trade. First, we know a lot of businesses need advice and counseling because they don't know where to get started, or you come up against challenges or barriers in entering the global market opportunities. I already saw some questions about how to protect your intellectual property. Again, that's the whole advice and counseling that we offer. We also offer grants to cover the costs associated with finding international buyers or entering into new foreign markets. So John Martinez, we're going to help you go someplace other than Canada. Listen on. And then loans. We offer loans that are tailored to providing export working capital. They're like EXIM's products and a little bit different. And we help finance business expansion or help with the other costs associated with international sales. Next slide, please. So first, one of the things we hear consistently from small businesses, they don't know where to get started because they lack information. The first way we can help you is with this information, advice, and market intelligence. Last summer, we launched our Trade Tools website. It provides information to help businesses go global, and it's a sort of one-stop shop with a link to information and resources. You can find tools and resources on how to develop export plans, how to protect your intellectual property, develop your digital marketing and e-commerce strategies, or explore export financing. We also have a lot of information on US trade agreements that provide additional opportunities for small businesses, including an entire section dedicated to the new US-Mexico-Canada agreement, or USMCA, along with a summary of some of the benefits for small businesses of the USMCA and links to fact sheets and recent training. My team was at the table negotiating with the USMCA in order to gain provisions that would benefit businesses like yours. And on this Trade Tools website, there's also a Spanish version. Next slide, please. Another way that we can help your business get started is with our Fast Track service. So this is available to any individual small business that has, and it's really gotten a lot of increased attention through COVID crisis because it's increased pressures on businesses like yours to pivot to address new unknowns and risks. And I know LaTanya talked about a whole range of resources that are available across the federal, state, and local government. If you come in through us at the Fast Track service, basically you'll meet privately with SBA's senior trade and technical leads, and we'll talk to you about your unique business challenges, and we'll identify the potential resource solutions. They may be available within SBA, they may be available within EXIM, they may be available elsewhere, but we'll provide you those warm introductions and professional referrals to those partners. So all you have to do to schedule a Fast Track, if you're interested, is email us at international@sba.gov, and we'll respond within 24 hours. Next slide, please. So a second way that we can help you is with grants. Did you know that you could be eligible for a grant from the SBA that you can use to offset the costs associated with exporting? The program is called the State Trade Expansion Program, or STEP. SBA provides a grant, and the program's run by states and territories, and they can reimburse their state small businesses with a range of costs. So John Martinez, as you were talking, I was thinking I've got to introduce you to New Mexico STEP because they're going to help you in a broad range of ways. So we not only help businesses that are new to exporting and help them get started, we can also help experienced exporters who are looking to expand your markets into new places or into new even regions within a given market. You can see on this slide, there are a variety of uses for STEP funds. Before COVID, most of our resources helped businesses with their travel costs on foreign trade shows and trade missions. But since COVID, we've tried to grow the program in terms of training and e-commerce tools in particular. STEP can grant up to $10,000 to help your company build your e-store, translate your website, develop cybersecurity methods to better protect your online transactions, And also there were questions on intellectual property protection. We can cover your costs to enter into some of these international treaties that protect your intellectual property and advise on other resources depending on what you're exporting. But all you have to do is visit the STEP website. Again, this is a national program. Most states and territories participate. And all you have to do is go to the link in order to find the STEP partner near you. Next slide, please. LaTanya already talked a lot about financing, and I'm just going to introduce you briefly to some ways that SBA can also help you. So we too can help. We're not a direct lender. We partner with banks across the country, and we guarantee the loans that you apply for through a bank. And this is especially helpful on export financing because banks don't necessarily offer this conventionally and to smaller businesses. So the SBA guarantee really helps lenders to be motivated in serving you. Some of the challenges we're seeing that businesses face, you may be facing canceled or reduced credit insurance coverage as an issue related to COVID. You may face reductions in your line of credit or working capital that can then create other problems when your foreign buyers are asking for extended terms, or maybe your foreign buyers are demanding performance guarantees or advance payments, or you're experiencing supply chain issues because of extended payments from OEMs. So SBA can help you and your lender to mitigate against these issues. Next slide, please. So our loans can meet a variety of financing needs, much like LaTanya mentioned, even if you're not a direct exporter, but you sell to a business that then exports, you're called an indirect exporter. And you can think supply chain, right? That you may also be eligible. Our export loans have helped businesses achieve roughly 2.5 billion in sales per year. And I'm proud to let you know that Hispanic-owned businesses are a significant share of the businesses we help, about 11%. And 1/3 of our loans last year benefited minority-owned businesses. So I want to get to Q&A, but I just want you to know that our Export Express loans are quick access for business development, capital that you may need to finance up to, the loans go up to $500,000. You could apply for a line of credit prior to finalizing an export sale, or even before you visit a foreign market. You can get your financing lined up in advance, which ensures that adequate financing is in place before you agree to the terms of a contract. As you grow your international sales, you then could use the Export Working Capital Program, or EWCP, to fulfill your export orders, covering your cost of goods or financing foreign receivables and export inventory via a revolving line of credit of up to $5 million. And then the international trade loan can help if your company has been affected by foreign competition and needs to retool or expand to better compete. And it can also help your business to begin or grow your international sales. So you don't have to know whether our product or the EXIM product is what's best for you. We have a staff of export finance managers around the country to work with you and your current banker, or to help you find another lender if your banker doesn't want to pursue one of these loans, so that you can take advantage of our loans or EXIM loans in order to grow your global sales. So again, just you can visit for more information the website, sba.gov/international, or even Google, find an export finance manager. So to close, last slide, please. I'm just going to leave you with this slide. And again, the slide deck will be sent around to all participants, but this is the contact information for our various services. So please, if there's anything you take away from today's presentation, it's that we're here for you and what we need you to reach out to us, whichever way you prefer. And then we'll help direct you to the best resource to get your company to the next level through exporting. So thanks very much. And I'll turn it back over to Leroy.
Michelle, thank you so much for that valuable information and for the partnership that the USHCC is able to collaborate and share with the U.S. Small Business Administration in your office. At this time, without further ado, I would like to turn it over to my colleague, Laura Sosa, who will be managing today's Q&A section. We're running on time, so it's super exciting. We have time for a couple of question and answers. So Laura, welcome and thank you for facilitating today's Q&A.
Thank you so much, Leroy. This is so exciting. It's totally new for me, and as well as for many people that submitted a lot of questions on how to export. As Michelle mentioned before, we had a lot of people that submitted comments mentioning that they have experience importing and now they wanted to expand and see if they could start exporting. So, and I think these two presentations really help us identify those 800 numbers, those links that you really need to have, and those emails that you need to have handy in order to start scheduling appointments with Latanya at EXIM Bank, or just by visiting their websites. And again, as I mentioned in the chat and answering some questions on the Q&A, we're going to be sharing all these resources with all of you, anybody that registered, so that you can have it in your email and you can contact them directly and set up appointments as needed. One question that I did have was in regards to products and services and related to loans. So how can people know, Michelle and Latanya, whether or not EXIM or EXIM Bank or SBA provide loans for specific services only or for specific products only? People were wondering, for example, I want to export chemicals, I want to export auto parts. Is there any limitations if I want to request a loan or if I want to get a grant? So maybe Latanya, do you want to start so we can give a little break to Michelle since she just finished the presentation?
Sure, I'll start. Yes, there is, we do cover the full range of services. Let me just state that. However, I think they will be reviewed on a case-by-case basis because we do have a content requirement. US content must be at least 51%. That includes labor. So I believe the best answer to that would be to schedule a consultation and we can discuss the specific service or product that you are interested in exporting. Again, certain products will not receive EXIM support, such as if you are selling to another country's military, or only in the event of humanitarian efforts, such as maybe food drops after a disaster, or maybe the sale of emergency vehicles after a disaster or something along those lines. But again, discussion needs to be, I think, one-on-one, and we can just take it from there.
Yes, and someone, just since I have you here, Latanya, someone is asking on the chat if EXIM charges consultant fees.
Absolutely not. No, it's free. As are most of the resources that I mentioned today, Michelle and I, they are free or of little cost at all.
Okay, fantastic. So Michelle, do you want to answer then the question regarding limitations on loans and grants as far as depending on what product or services do I want to?
Yeah. We're, every product and service that's legal, some are required to go through export licensing controls. And again, we can put you in touch with folks if you are exporting something that requires a license to help you figure out how to do that. There are, when it comes to the loans, product services, absolutely. Unlike EXIM, we don't have a domestic content threshold of 50%. So as long as it's being exported from the United States through a port, it counts. So that might, make SBA's loans more appropriate for your product, depending on what that is or service. But yeah, across the board. And then, our advice is available on any product, and we'll let you know if somehow you're, getting into the territory. I know the more CBP and things like that sometimes raise questions and all, but we can help you through that. And then the State Trade Expansion Program too offers the grants to businesses to pursue those opportunities as long as they are legal exports. And then just a note, even if you're looking at getting a service from the government that does charge a fee, like Department of Commerce sometimes charges fees for their Gold Key and other services, those STEP grants can cover your costs for those too. So, you know, talking with us, we can help figure out a way to make it really cost effective for your business to take advantage of what we have to offer.
Yes, fantastic. We have a question here for the two of you to explain, if it's possible, to explain the underwriting criteria for export credit, I think, assurance, whose credit worthiness is considered. So any requirements, anything, do you think that's something that can be easily answered, or it's, again, maybe the best way to get all this information is maybe to reach out to you?
Yes, I can answer that. To qualify to apply for export credit insurance, you have to have been in business at least a year, not necessarily exporting, have a Duns or a Dun & Bradstreet number, and have a positive net worth. And that's critical. You need, when you're applying for trade credit insurance, you need to go in it as if you are applying for a loan for a mortgage or a car. You still have to show a reasonable assurance of repayment. That's key. Now, if you are new to exporting or you're small and you have a potential export activity, you may want to consider partnering with someone who has more experience in the industry, and their financials may be stronger somewhat. So I oftentimes advise clients to do that as well. Consider partnering with someone, and as you network and you attend events such as these and you communicate in the chat, you will meet other business owners who may actually be looking for someone to partner with themselves. So your next opportunity could be right in the chat box.
Okay.
Yeah, and we don't
Michelle,
offer
yes.
export. We don't offer export credit insurance. That's EXIM. On our loans, there's no, you know, we like to see businesses with proven track records, like any, you know, it's really up to the lenders. They look, but we do have underwriters working with us, so you can call them up, talk to them. They can talk to you about ways to make your business more attractive and credit worthy to lenders.
Well, thank you so much. We are just really 1 minute away, and I know Leroy wants to close up this this webinar with a wonderful final remarks. So Leroy, the stage is all yours.
Thank you so much, Laura, and thank you for facilitating our question and answers. Just to everyone on the call today, thank you on behalf of the United States Hispanic Chamber of Commerce, the Export-Import Bank of the United States, and the U.S. Small Business Administration for joining us today to get this important information out to our members. We would also like to give a special thanks to the Albuquerque Hispanic Chamber of Commerce and their president and CEO, Ernie C. De Vaca, their business member, Sombra and John Martinez, for joining us on today's call, and really all of you for helping the United States Hispanic Chamber of Commerce bring necessary information to you about business beyond borders, as together we commemorate World Trade Month and figure out how to create more exporters from the United States to the world. The exporting power of our small businesses will be key as America revitalizes and exits the COVID-19 pandemic. So on behalf of the United States Hispanic Chamber of Commerce and your USHCC nationally DC-based team, thank you for being with us today. And we look forward to our next webinar to continue providing necessary technical assistance to the more than 5 million Hispanic-owned businesses across the United States and Puerto Rico. Have a good afternoon, everyone, and thank you for being with us today.